All right. Welcome one, welcome all. We'll get ready to get started here in just a second. If you are just jumping in with us, if you'll do me a quick favor, please grab the chat and drop your name, drop your business name, so that we can stay connected with you or answer any questions that you may have. I know we've got new faces joining us today. We've got familiar friends, so we're so happy to have you all on with us today to talk about regenerative aesthetics. But please drop that in the chat for us. And we will get started here in just a quick second. Love to be respectful of your time, so we'll make sure that we do just that. I already see some of you coming in. I will mention to you guys, it is muted, so don't be worried if you can't get off mute. It's just to help minimize background sound, but we want to hear from you today. We will have a dedicated Q&A time at the end. So if you have questions as we're going, chat is also your friend. Pop them in there and we'll make sure that if we don't answer it in the course of our discussion, that we will do it at the end of the meeting. So for now, pop in, drop your name and business name. And Emma, if you will do us a favor, Emma is our fabulous senior content manager, work in the background for us. If you will make sure that chat is enabled for all participants, that will be super helpful as well. But we will keep your cameras, we'll keep your voices on mute. That way we can have a great conversation and we'll open it up to everybody at the end. And Emma, I can't see you, but I will let you give me a cue if you see it going. I see the chat increasing now, so I think it
Yeah.
looking good. That's great. Very good. Welcome. We've got a lot of you on with us, and we are going to go ahead and kick it off and get started. I'm so happy to have you all joining us today. And at the top of this, we are talking about the future of skin regeneration in aesthetics with Glo2Facial. And whether you have already dived deep into this world or it's your first time exploring it, we're so excited to have this conversation with you. I am all about being on the tip of the spear when it comes to aesthetics and us really getting ahead of the curve and not just doing what's trendy, but doing what is valuable for the customer, valuable for patient outcomes. And Glo2Facial has just been such a successful tool for me to deliver that to people. And also for our guest today, Kayla Hale. But before we even get into she and I do want to talk about why we're all here, which is regenerative aesthetics. So what does that mean? It's a really buzzy word. And if you're like me and you're on TikTok and you're on Instagram and you are looking at all of the things, you're probably hearing this word or a version of it. And so when we think about what regenerative aesthetics actually is, it's something that's been around for years. In fact, it's been around since biology. And it is basically the idea of using your skin's own natural abilities to regenerate, repair, and restore the tissues in a way that's not disruptive. And so it allows us to shift our mindset from simply treating signs of aging to actually supporting the skin in what it already knows how to do best, which is that restoration and regeneration. So we're essentially making the canvas, making it easier for the body to do what it naturally wants to be able to do. And I think that's what has made this category so significantly attractive to consumers is we're not trying to change them, we are enhancing and supporting them. And no one has been doing that better than our guest speaker who's joining me today, and that's Kayla Hale. I'll come to you in just a second, Kayla, to say hello to the group. But for those of you that don't know me, I wanted to introduce myself as well. My name is Savannah Barrett. I am the Senior Director of Customer Enablement and Sales Development. And that's just a fancy way of saying I do a lot of stuff on the clinical education side, but a lot of stuff on the customer engagement side as well. So everything from education to events to all the pod knowledge you could ever want on all of our ingredients. I have about 15 years in this side of the industry. I've been a licensed esthetician for almost 20, started in the med spa and plastic side of things, went into medical skin sales, but I very quickly realized that my clinical background in ingredient formulation had way more of a space in the education side of things. And so I led training centers for several years before working with this fabulous team at Glo2Facial, where I am always looking for the next generation and next iteration in our industry. And I'm so happy I found my home here because it's just really cool to see what we're doing. But I would like for you guys to all get a chance to talk to Kayla as well. Kayla, you've joined us not too long ago, but you've seen already tremendous strides, not only in skin regeneration, but with the device. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, about your background, where you're based out of.
Yeah, so my name is Kayla Hale. I've been a PA for a decade now, which always feels weird to say because it starts revealing your age.
I know.
Um, I am the owner of Hailstorm Aesthetics in Oklahoma City. So my practice has been open. It'll be 2 years this fall. I partnered with Glo2 about a year ago. So we started having conversations last summer. So we definitely have a full year under our belt of that technology, patient feedback, and just really connecting with you guys at Geneo with all the support. Um, so that's me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad you're on. And like you said, you're an innovator, you're an early adopter, but you're also someone that really understands integration. And the first person that noticed that in you is our VP of Sales, Sarah Ma, who is on with us today. And I wanted her to say hello and maybe give us a little bit of background about you and how you found Kayla.
Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Sarah Maul and I'm the Vice President of Sales. So I actually, interesting, I came into the aesthetic space just a few years ago. Prior to that, I was in a totally different world of vascular access medical devices. And it's been such an interesting transition as this industry is just absolutely a wonderful place to be, definitely compared to where I was. And so as I was traveling the country in the various leadership roles that I've been at Geneo, I get to meet businesses all over the country. And it has been a rare opportunity because I get to find the unicorns, right, as I travel across the country. And I knew immediately from the first time I met Kayla, her rep, Jesse, told me all about her. So I was very, very prepared to meet someone remarkable. But I knew instantly that she was absolutely going to be a game changer in the industry. She is setting a pathway for innovation and is absolutely remarkable at what she does. So just learning about her experience and her success, it made her somebody that we definitely wanted to learn from and partner with, because I think there's an opportunity for all of us, whether you are a med spa owner, whether you are a PA or an esthetician, or whether you're one of us in the sales industry. You can learn something from Kayla. So we are so fortunate to be able to partner with her and have her here today for this. And I'm excited to learn more, as always, from you, Kayla.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, she's such a wealth of knowledge. And like I said, we're building a really strong community with all of our providers and getting to hear from you all and how you're implementing these devices into your practices. It's so important. So for any of you that may have just joined us, if you haven't already, I see our chat blowing up. If you would do me a favor before we get too far into it and leave me your name and business name so that we can answer any follow-up questions for you afterwards, know where you're coming from. We're happy to connect with you further to not only answer questions, but also help you guys with getting this technology going in your businesses as well, because regenerative aesthetics is the forefront of what's next in this world. And let's talk a little bit deeper dive to what that really means. I gave us the teaser version, which is essentially that we're using our body's own natural abilities to improve the functional processes of the skin. But I'm going to give you the Webster dictionary, if you will. Not really. It's the Glo2Facial definition, but it really is an approach that works with the body rather than against it, because we're leveraging our natural biological processes to heal, strengthen, and of course, regenerate. But what's interesting is it gets harder for our bodies to do this on its own as we age. And that's why supportive mechanisms are necessary. But what's also interesting to me is that according to MERS, recently we saw a consumer study showing almost 80% of consumers are beginning to prefer a treatment that will enhance their natural features rather than alter their appearance. And like I said, if any of you are on the social media like I am, you've seen this big trend in transparency. Kris Jenner just told us where she got her facelift. People are talking more and more about the subtle tweakments that they're making rather than these dramatic changes and looking like totally different people. And I think that's supported by some of the other trends that we see. It's not just using your body's abilities to regenerate, but it's also curating a natural look on purpose. So people want to look like themselves. They just want to feel radiant, confident, and refreshed when they do that. And I love this quote from Doris Day. I don't know if any of you follow her. She's a fantastic dermatologist in our space. But I love where she talks about Botox should soften the lines, but it's not going to erase or change your personality. You still want to look and feel like you. But a very common phrase I hear from patients a lot is, I just feel like I look tired. I don't look like myself. I just want to look like I had a great night's sleep. And Kayla, I see you nodding. I know we've talked about that before. It's a very common request that we're seeing from patients. But I'd be interested to know from you too, as we talk a little bit later, not only are you probably seeing the shift into this natural look, but when you can deliver that, you are earning trust and loyalty with your patients much faster. And you can see that here from the chart on the right, that it is neck and neck. When you can provide natural looking results, your return rate and reputation with customers stays significantly higher. So it's a great way for you to not only build the longevity of your business, but also the reputation as well. And one of the key ways that we also see this happening in is through the concept of skin health. This is a word that has definitely entered the conversation more and more frequently in recent times because patients are simplifying their routines and they are choosing things that support the overall quality of their skin rather than, I know when we were all bored during COVID, I was really deep into a 10-step skincare routine. I had the mask and the essence and the serum, doing the whole thing. But it's not super sustainable or realistic, and it didn't produce the types of longevity and long-term outcomes that our patients are truly seeking. And so what's interesting is even New Beauty is talking about how non-invasive skin technology is really what people are thinking about when they're shifting their mindset into long-term prevention. And Kayla, are you seeing more and more of that in your business, the 30s to 40s, the prejuvenation?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I definitely think with the education that we have now, right? We're educating patients more on what is the aging process, which you've kind of talked about a little bit as we go throughout our day. Pollution's aging us, blue light's aging us, the sun is aging us. People are more aware of that now at a younger age. So we're definitely seeing more compliance with simple skincare routines in their 20s, starting more consistent treatments in their 30s, biostimulators, things like that, just things to rejuvenate collagen and elastin to keep them looking like themselves, but that younger version of themselves.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we're seeing this in the data too. So again, nearly 80% of patients, they're educating us too on what they want. And you're so good at listening and interpreting for them what that means, but they still care. Almost 80% still say fine lines and wrinkles are what their main concern is. But now they're telling us, I want it in a way that's non-invasive. I want a solution that is going to last, but isn't going to necessarily make me look different. It's just going to improve the overall quality of my skin. And I mention all of this to say what to me is really special about not just Glo2Facial, but radio frequency technology, exfoliation technology, is it actually does improve the health and the behavior of the skin over time, but also immediately. So you get that wow factor, but you get that sustainable change that amplifies and extends the results of anything else somebody like Kayla might already be doing with her patients. Another trend that we are noticing is patients are turning away from downtime and pain. The beauty is pain moniker has gone by the wayside. People realize there is a way to look beautiful, feel luxurious, and not have to have downtime. And that's what they're asking for. We really are able to give something that feels relaxation and results oriented at the same time. Kayla, are you seeing this in your practice? Are patients asking for this more?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are, everyone has a busy life, right? Like I'm a mom of two, about to be a mom of three. So, you know, you've got sporting events, you've got all of this busyness of life that people don't have the time. They really have to prepare for their schedule to be bruised, swollen, heal from lasers, things upon that sort. And so a lot of times, you know, they need a treatment that they're able to leave and go back to work or go to activities right after their appointments.
Well, and what's interesting with that is it really has to be a part of our life. It's not just a treatment you go and get. It needs to be a part of our lifestyle. And 60% of med spa patients prioritize that as no downtime being a deciding factor in if they book a service. And I think that's really interesting. We're seeing another rise in med spas of treatment abandonment. People think that they want something. They tried these really aggressive treatments because they're like, I'm just going to go all in, no pain, no gain. And then they're like, okay, I lied. That was a little too much. I want to go back and try a different approach. And what you have done so beautifully, Kayla, is you've taken these patient requests and you've layered in something else that is really that final pillar of what we see with the future of regenerative aesthetics. And it's the multimodality approach. It's using radio frequency, exfoliation, ultrasound, even lymphatic massage and circulation enhancement to amplify the tools that you already know work well, the things clients are already asking for, and you build a more compounding and exponential result with that. And if you guys don't believe me that she's doing that, I want to show you an incredible before and after photo that she achieved with radio frequency and some of her injectables. So let's take a look at this. And Kayla, can you tell me
Yeah.
just briefly a little bit about this patient and
Yeah, so this is
what
one
was
of
she
my
looking for?
patients. She's in her late 50s. She is very compliant with her treatment plan. Trust me fully, we've done CO2 laser, we've done biostimulators, she's had toxin, and we just really wanted to get back to focusing on her skin. You know, sometimes with mature skin, they don't want to wear as much makeup, which is kind of a trend we're seeing in all ages. People want to wear those mineral tinted sunscreens. They want to have their 5 minute makeup routine, the simple skincare routine. They don't want to wear a full face of makeup anymore. So that was kind of what she had come to me with. Her concern was, I don't want to wear as much makeup, or my, you know, powder's not sitting right. And I was like, well, we need to kind of change that. So she did a series of 6 radio frequency with the whole treatment plan, that with the oxygen facial as well. She came in every week or every other if she was traveling. So we were able to get this done pretty quickly. So you are like literally seeing real live results. What I love about the radio frequency handpiece is they're gonna see results so quickly that they're gonna be addicted. I mean, we're talking immediately before and after one treatment, they're going to notice a difference that when they leave, they're going to want to book their second appointment, and they're just going to continue to see those compounded results over time.
Well, and just like you said, not only are people wanting the tried and true stuff, but they want the instant gratification. We live in that
Yes.
culture where like they got to know it works same day to trust that it's going to work long time. And I always like to say that radio frequency is like the fishing hook that kind of gets people like, oh, wow, okay, this is really worth my investment. This is worth my time and it's worth my trust. And that allows you to build a more comprehensive portfolio for them. And I love what you call that here because the biggest thing that I notice in this picture is number one, the skin texture is remarkable. I mean, that is totally transparent. Like you said, she was already an existing patient of yours. She had done
Yeah,
all the things, been on
absolutely.
skincare. You know, she was a well-treated patient. She looks lovely in the first photo, but she looks vibrant in the second photo. You can just see that restoration, that rejuvenation. She looks like she had a great night of sleep, but she looks like herself. And those are the results that are very special. Now, before we get a little bit more into some experiences Kayla has had with this type of regeneration and what her plan looks like, I know some of you that are joining us might be a little bit new to Glo2Facial, or at least new to the radio frequency technology. And so I want to talk about how this multimodality approach enhances the experience and outcome for your patients. So Glo2Facial is a 4-step experience that delivers not only that instant youth, glow, lift, dewy, snatched effect in the skin, but it also builds collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid in the skin long term. It reduces inflammation, increases the presence of oxygen, reduces bacteria. I mean, I could go on and on and on with the list of benefits, but it essentially resets the skin. It is training it to behave more youthfully from the inside out over time. And the first way that we do this is with RF Pro. This is radio frequency where we are using heat-based technology to target the dermal layer of the skin, which is where we're boosting that collagen and elastin synthesis. We're also able to initiate that GAG or that glycosaminoglycan hyaluronic synthesis as well, which we're seeing a lot of just skin hydration as part of the regeneration portfolio. But this step is specifically designed for fine lines, wrinkles. It's non-invasive. I don't know, Kayla, how you would describe this, but I always say it feels like a hot stone massage. It's very relaxing.
That's what I'm like. You're talking about all of the benefits from the medical standpoint, which is fantastic, but patients love the experience. They're relaxed. Sometimes they're nervous about the heat of the RF Pro. And so I tell them, I'm like, when you're getting your pedicure and it's those hot stones, it's going to feel like that on your face. And it truly does.
I always like to say this is the tip step. This is when they fall in love with you and they're like, oh man, okay, I'm in for something good now. And it's a great way to start the service. But it also does yield that snatch effect. They really see it in the contours of the face, the cheekbones, but even around the delicate areas like the orbital area and the eyes that can traditionally be very difficult to treat with radio frequency. So what's special about this is it heats just to 40 degrees Celsius, which is that optimum temperature for collagen production without disturbing the fat pad, without activating the melanocyte to be overproductive. So we're really right in that sweet spot for regeneration, and it's a beautiful way to start the treatment. But what's also fantastic is we couple that. So we don't just want to start collagen synthesis and then go on to the next thing. We want to capitalize on collagen synthesis. And we do that with step 2, which is exfoliation. This is a little bit of a funky word, but it essentially means oxygen induction with topical exfoliation. So you're getting that manual exfoliation. We also have chemical exfoliants with alpha, beta, and polyhydroxy acids. It's very gentle, no disruption to the barrier of the skin, but it does give you that smooth, polished, almost filter-like finish where you look really glowy and healthy and dewy afterwards. But what I also love about this is it really is where we are bringing all that excess oxygen from the body up to the surface of the skin. And in that picture that we saw of Kayla's patient, you can see clearly just the change in tone. The skin looks alive and healthy. And are there any other results that you see or feedback that you get, Kayla, after people have this treatment about how they look or feel?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't think I've had anybody be dissatisfied with the service. They love how customizable it is too, right? So we've been talking a lot about a mature aging patient concerned about her pore size, skin texture, which again, in the before and after, you can see the changes around the orbit that you were mentioning, Savannah, which I think is phenomenal. But also we've got patients with compromised skin barriers such as acne. So we shared a recent before and after last night of a patient who had a series of 3. After 3 Glo2 treatments, excuse me, excuse me, spaced 2 weeks apart, like the skin barrier is healthier. So I love that this is customizable depending on your patient's needs. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about the consultation, but that's where it's going to come in a very important of what is your patient struggling with? What is their, baseline skin barrier, and what are their skincare goals?
Yeah, and it's because if we think about it, right? You and I have talked about this, Kayla, that the treatment is so versatile because oxygen is so vital. Oxygen is the foundation and bedrock of vitality and health in the skin. And what we're doing during this step on the outside It feels like this effervescent, tingly, bubbly mask. You can feel that beautiful activation on the surface of the skin, but inside what's happening is that CO2 rich surface environment is triggering something called the Bohr effect. But what that essentially means is it's triggering an internal oxygen cascade to redirect the healthy oxygen up to the surface of the skin. And a lot of us forget our skin is the most asphyxiated organ that we have. It does not receive oxygen like the rest of the body does. And when we can redirect that extra oxygen, it gives you that youthful, dewy glow. When you couple it with the active ingredients in the pod that are fully customizable, you can truly target outcomes based on client concerns. And we don't even finish there. There are 2 additional steps that are layered in. We're going to hone in more on the regenerative components of oxalation and radio frequency, but we also utilize ultrasound therapy. And the way I like to describe this is it essentially creates micro vibrations in the surface of the skin. And when that happens, it increases the permeability of the skin. So we're not just relying on topical methods of getting those actives into the skin. We are actually increasing and priming the body's desire to pull those ingredients deep into the skin. Do you use ultrasound, Kayla? Does your team use it pretty regularly with product absorption?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this device does not sit in my office.
She puts it to work.
We've had several conversations of, is it time to bring on a second device? Because it doesn't sit.
No, it doesn't. And neither does the product, right? And that's what I love about ultrasound is people can use this to penetrate other products. It makes home care more effective. But it also, the active ingredients work better in skin that was just properly oxygenated and that has activated its fibroblast cascade through radio frequency. So you can see how the results start to compound and work synergistically with each other, even in the course of a single treatment. And when we finish that with detox, that's when we're bringing in that healthy circulation. We're getting rid of the waste so the skin can work more effectively. And we're bringing in blood supply, which, oh, by the way, what is the blood carrying with it? Fresh oxygen. And we're delivering it right to this area where all this tissue oxygenation is happening. And that's how you get the glow in Glo2Facial. So it's a truly amazing experience. But now that you've had a taste for what that looks and feels like for a patient, I want to talk a little bit more with Kayla about your specific experience and how this has showed up in your practice. So when we actually think about skin regeneration, what does that mean in your business?
So in our practice, it's really, like I said, it's about patients feeling confident in their skin. Okay. And so, we see we've got rosacea, melasma, acne, overall aging, all of these skin concerns. And really the focus is what's going to make our patient feel confident, right? And that's really what our job is as providers, as estheticians, PAs, nurses. Your job is to make your patient feel comfortable, to build that long-term trusting relationship with them and bringing to them their desired goals.
Well, I think that's one thing that we are seeing a lot of is it's not about delivering the results we think that they need. It's about delivering what they truly want. And when you think about how you've integrated Glo2Facial specifically into the overall journey for your patients, walk me through what that looks like. What do you like about the technology? Like how do you build it in?
So, let's talk a little bit about business side, right? So you have to, when you're bringing on a device to your practice, there's a lot that you have to think about. You have to think cost of the device. You have to think cost of treatments. Okay. And then of course we want to talk about technology, which I'm very, very big on the technology. So I actually launched Glo2 prior to the RF Pro handpiece being available. So we actually in our practice had 2 separate launch events. We had a launch event to launch Glo2 education to the patients, which if you guys follow me on social media, I'm huge about education and you guys should be too. You may do that through social media or you may do that through another platform, but educating your patients is free to them. And then they're going to come in more knowledgeable about your treatments that you offer, the skincare that you offer. They're going to come more well equipped. Then we launched a second event when the RF Pro handpiece came out to really kind of get people addicted to that feeling and to know what it's like. So when I see patients, I develop a thorough treatment plan that can last anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Okay. Depends on their goals. I'm sitting down, I'm taking the time. So for me, I do a pre-assessment for my patients, which means prior to them sitting in my chair in front of me, they are sending in pictures, sending me in their goals, sending me in previous treatments that they had, so we can kind of map out their treatment plan. So before they come in, I'm doing background work, background education for them to know what to expect when they sit in my chair. Then when they sit in my chair as a new patient, sometimes my new patient treatments can be up to 2 hours. But I want to take the time. I want to connect with them as a provider. I want to build a trusting relationship. And I also want to get to know them personally. So this is very important. You know, Savannah, you were saying a lot of patients say that they feel tired or things upon that sort, but what brought them to your chair? What's going on personally in their life? Are they going through a divorce? Did they get a promotion? I've had this before where they've got a promotion and they're around a lot of younger colleagues that they feel like they want to keep up. They're a new mom that needs to feel like themselves again. So you really have to find a way to connect with them emotionally during the treatment plan. Okay. And then for me, right, I specialize in injectables and lasers. So I'm partnering with my estheticians to pair all of that together. So if I've got a treatment plan that includes biostimulators or growth factors, I'm for sure going to add in the RF Pro technology to help boost my results, right? We want to keep those patients in our office, in our chairs. That's very important. We want them to pre-book and we want them to get the best results. They're going to get better results with a biostimulator if they're adding in exfoliation and RF Pro with that pairing. They're going to get better neurotoxin results if they're pairing it with exfoliation and RF Pro prior to the treatment. They're going to get better laser results if they're prepping their skin before the laser and coming in after too for that exfoliation. That's just the name of the game. If you are not developing a thorough treatment plan that includes both sides, you're doing a disservice to your patients, in my opinion.
Well, it's so true when you say that. And you said a very important word, Kayla, and it's trust.
Mm-hmm.
And when I ask people, you know, if they're like, as they're building people's treatment plans, I always ask them, well, how much do you think your patient trusts you?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is usually significantly, right? They don't truly know what they need to do for their skin, but they trust that you're going to recommend it for them. And to me, it's almost the responsibility of, we do a lot of comparisons in aesthetics to like the gym and working out and fitness and all of that. But it is like if you went to a trainer and said you wanted to get fit, and they're like, yeah, just come in and do deadlifts and squats every day. You don't need to be worried about the warm up. Don't worry about your diet. Just come in and hit the treadmill. No trainer would say that, and no patient would really expect them to say that. So I think that it's important for us to think about how we are helping them see their journey as a more narrative component to their regeneration. Like you said, it's at any age that they're looking for this. You also said something interesting, Kayla, about you're really known for your injections, which you are. So being a master injector and knowing that your esthetician really leads the charge on Glo2Facial, how have you married those two together for best outcomes?
Yeah, so I would say there's several different ways we utilize this. And recently we've also started utilizing it with body, which I'm excited to kind of talk about a little bit today. So we have different tiers of the Glo2Facial. So if let's say they're in for a neurotoxin appointment, we always recommend what we call like a Glo Essential. So it might be a quicker, not as relaxing of an experience, but we're priming and we're prepping the skin before our injections that day. So again, they're going to see instant results while their neurotoxin is kicking in. So they leave glowing. They know that they're going to get quick results, instant gratification. So they love that. Then we also pair it with our biostimulators. So when I see patients for biostimulators, most of the time they're coming in for 2 or 3 sessions, spaced 6 to 8 weeks apart. So what are they doing between seeing me? Between seeing me, they need to be in my office doing the RF Pro exfoliation with my estheticians. So what it might look like is they do a facial with the RF Pro. Then they see me either same day. I do a lot of same day treatments. So I have a lot of out-of-state patients, a lot of out-of-town patients. So my best friend has named it going through the car wash. So they come to Hailstorm. It's an entire experience. They're going to get their Glo2Facial with their RF Pro. They might get an IV therapy during their facial. So I'm hydrating their skin. I'm hydrating them. I'm giving them nutrients internally and externally. And then after they finish that treatment, they're going to come sit in my chair and I'm going to do my work, whether that's going to be a laser or biostimulators. So with biostimulators specifically, I'm going to recommend treatment 2 weeks before or day of. They're going to get another session within 1 to 2 weeks of my injectables. And then they're going to be back in my chair right around that 4 to 6 weeks mark. And then they're going to come back again 2 weeks later for another. So easily that puts the patient in your office about 5 or 6 times if you schedule that appropriately. The other way we utilize this, which we do this a lot, and it's about to be laser season, it's always recommended to prep the skin with a Glo2Facial 2 to 3 weeks prior to the laser. And then depending on the laser, we're going to do a post-treatment anywhere from 7 to 14 days after the laser, okay? With that one, I do use a lot of the Protect Pod after the lasers. I'm communicating as a clinician, I'm communicating with my estheticians what direction I want to go with the pods. So if you have a smaller office, you can do that verbally. You can also put notes on the appointment if you're unable to connect with your provider. So I'll make a note, 10 days post, non-ablative laser, Protect plus dermaplane, or whatever I'm thinking as a provider to get off that sloughing and to help them have glowing skin. I find that this works really, really, really well with the lasers too, because your patients are going through a healing process. And as we've been talking about, healing is not fun. We want instant results. So if they know, okay, I just have to get to my Glo2Facial and then I'm going to feel great about the treatment that I did.
Yes.
They're looking forward to it. They're looking forward to that treatment, and they're looking forward to seeing the results of the treatment that I performed for them.
Well, I'm sure people were furiously taking notes when you were talking about that, because
That's
combo therapy, combo therapy is one of the most asked out treatments. And it's exactly what you said. Patients want that. They want to start feeling good about their skin right away, and developing more comprehensive plans lets them do that. What I think is so interesting that you have capitalized on, Kayla, is your understanding that properly oxygenated tissue responds better to anything else you do to it, whether it's laser, or it's even injectable, same day or later. The skin responds better, right? I mean, filler is gonna be able to read easier in the skin. Toxin's gonna spread more effectively if the tissue has proper hydration, proper oxygen content. Skin will slough and heal and regenerate faster if you have a high oxygen content. So all of these things create that supportive environment that give you those faster outcomes, but also those really beautiful transformations in the skin too, because you're treating it from the inside out. Now, you talked about something interesting, body, you've played around, obviously, and had some fun. When we think about where the future of regenerative aesthetics is going, do you see body playing into that? Or what other things do you see in the marketplace being really attractive?
Yeah, so I think we've been talking a lot about nutrients, right, for the skin. And I talk to this a lot about patients. I do offer PDRN, or polydeoxyribonucleotides, which is a trending regenerative treatment. We're doing it with like meso needling. And so the skin needs nutrients just like our body needs nutrients. So we can work on shutting down the melanocytes if they have melasma. We can work on stimulating type 1, type 3 collagen and elastin, right? So we've got structure, support, and skin firmness. So I really am seeing, I love talking about PDRN and nutrients of the skin. So for me, I am shifting to using the device more for body. So I do a lot of body injectables, for example, skin laxity on the stomach after weight loss or postpartum. I will use lasers or injectables to treat that. I also do a lot of hip dip or buttock region cellulite. And so I've started to incorporate this into those treatments as well. So we are doing body glow 2s with the RF Pro handpiece. They're getting that included. And I'm super excited to see kind of where that's going. So I'll hopefully have more to talk about results that I'm seeing. But again, it's the same thing that we've been talking about. If their skin is prepped and it's oxygenated, if I'm doing something to stimulate collagen and improve their elasticity and firmness, my results are going to be better if the skin is getting the nutrients that they need.
Well, you're totally right. It's all about the nutrients. And, I see questions all the time about like, how is this different than other things I'm doing that are topicals or chemical peels or other things like that? But to me, it's really a two-factor thing. It's that we are stimulating the right processes from the inside so that the body knows what to do with the things we put on from the outside, or even, orally or through IV or things like that. The body knows what to do with those things more effectively, and it's more readily able to utilize those ingredients and actives when you have natural processes already optimized in the skin. And I think that's where you've seen so much success, not just on the face, but it's the same everywhere. It's the same on the body too.
One tip that I just want to say very quickly
Please.
is, again, I think that my consultation, I changed it about 4 years ago. I went to multiple different practices, multiple different providers, assessed their consultation, kind of took parts that I liked. I had to practice my consultation, literally practice it. But one thing that I add is, what are your concerns from head to toe? Okay, so our skin is the largest organ. It's all over our body. So if you are not asking that question, you are leaving out opportunity to use this device that other places than the top third. So I encourage you guys that as you make some changes in your practice after today, that you would start incorporating this with body, which is what we're going to be seeing in the future.
Yeah, I think you're right. It really is where things are shifting. And I'm so glad you shared that tip, because I will say, for any practitioners on here, Kayla has not only mastered the scientific side, the consultation side, the treatment side, but you've really mastered the business side and understand how to, like you said, you're missing so much revenue if you stop at the décolleté. The body is another opportunity. But can you talk to me a little, Kayla, about how do you sell this? Is it a single thing? Is it a series? You've kind of said how you integrate it.
Yeah.
But how do you really make this profitable for your business?
Right. So you definitely do not want to sell as a one-off, in my opinion, because you're doing a disservice to your patient. Number one, they're not going to get the results that they need. And this is meant to be done in a series. So at a minimum, if you're concerned about patient's budget, a series of 3, they're going to be able to see results after 3, with acne, aging skin. Ideally, we're looking for 6 treatments. Okay. I think that this would also be fabulous with a monthly membership, if that's something you offer in your practice. I think that this is perfect for a monthly membership. So a lot of times too, like, we're going to have a laser event, my annual laser event in August, and I am pairing 3 Glo 2s with my 3 lasers. That way I know that their skin is getting prepped and primed, and they're doing the post care that they need to do to get the best results. So a lot of times when I am selling this, I'm pairing it with another treatment in the office. I know that somebody has a question about chemical peels too, and I'm pairing this, same thing, buy a pack of 3 chemical peels and a pack of 3 Glo 2s. So they're actually coming in my office for 6 treatments. 6 times they're going to be in my office, which is phenomenal, right? That gives you more opportunity to educate them, build a more trusting relationship, talk more at-home skincare, increase your sales. So that's really what you want to see, is you want people to be committed to their treatment plan.
Well, and I think one of the best ways that you have been successful in getting them to do that is, we talk a little bit about, there is this trend of aesthetic fatigue. People are going to more simple skincare routines.
Right.
But what I find interesting is they want simpler at home, but they want more variety in office, which is why we see that multimodality approach increasing. And you've done this when you say, like, look, my people love my chemical peels, but they're going to come in the door more if they can alternate and do a peel this time, then a
Correct.
Glo2, and we're going to use the Glo2 Energize customization the first time. But next time we're going to switch you to Refine because you really want to work on lifting. And
Yes.
those kinds of things not only keep the nourishment going from a scientific perspective, but they keep the client engaged in the type of results that you're
Yes.
building for them.
So that's another thing too that I want to mention is we have created an entire experience from the time you walk in the door. I mean, they are greeted by an amazing front desk staff who's offering them coffee, tea, sparkling water, multiple options to make them feel comfortable from the moment they walk in. Then when they're in the treatment room, we have a certain scent diffuser flowing. We've got low lighting. We've got a heated bed. There's everything, from touch. We're overloading their senses in a good way, right? And so patients want to come to my office all the time, which is what you want to create. You want to create that feeling of they feel good when they walk in the door, they feel good when they leave, and they want to come back again. So unfortunately, I am not able to see patients 6 times in a 6-month span because my schedule is so demanding, but I want them in my office and I want them doing treatments and between them seeing me. I can only see you 4 times a year for neurotoxin. What are they doing in between? We need to bring them in our doors and we need to be thinking about that.
And when you've provided that elevated experience for them, I think something you shared with me is you can charge more for that. And
Absolutely.
what's really special too is you sell a couple series of 6 radio frequency, and you've paid everything off. Like, you are profit positive so quickly. And to your point, the device itself supports the experience that you can charge more for. One of my favorite stories to share about the device is that during COVID, actually, there was a mother-son composer duo that very famous, but they didn't have a whole lot of, symphonies to attend during COVID. And so our developer actually approached them, had them experience all 7 of our treatment customizations and write a composition piece that they felt evoked the same feeling as that customization. And then we build in the key actives on the screen. It is truly a built-in experience for the client that then you can take and elevate into your treatment room. So they want to come back. They feel like it's just for them. And I think that also allows you to really capitalize on the revenue component. Is there anything else that you would say has helped you be really successful, Kayla, in being profitable quickly when you made this kind of an investment?
So we did demos at some of our launch events. That's really easy to do with the RF Pro, right? Because I'm not having to pay for like a tip or a pod. So that's like lower income. But for me, my patients want to get like a mini version or kind of try what it's going to feel like. So that works very successful for us. We also would do a split side by side where we would do one side only, stop the treatment, have them sit up and look at the difference from side to side. So for me, that's what works in my practice and my patients. They want to get just a little taste of it. And so we've allowed them to do that. We also, early on when we were launching prior to the RF Pro, we're doing some of those like quick, essential, express facials. Again, for the same idea, come in over your lunch break, pop in at the end of your day. Let's give you a 20-30 minute treatment just so you know what to feel, what to expect, and what your skin's going to look like after. And that just kind of gives them a little bit taste. So then they want to come back and have ours is actually called Luxe. I know you said luxury. So ours is called Luxe, the 90-minute experience, change into the towel wrap, turn your phone off. We've got, white noise and spa music. It's really a whole effect. And this is something too that I talk a lot to the reps with Janeo about. I want to help merge the barrier between reps and providers and have a better relationship. But one of them is not everybody knows how to set up the treatment experience. So we want to utilize you guys and helping set up a whole customer experience. People may not think about scents, feels, temperature of the room, squeaky wheels, squeaky chairs. There's just a lot that goes into the whole luxury experience. But again, if we can get it set up, then I can charge appropriately for that device.
Yeah, it lets you really step into that premium category. And then
Right.
that's what you become known for. And I
Right.
think that most of us would say we are offering Porsche, not Prius type services. And you've done a great job of developing that with your portfolio. I have one last question for you, Kayla, before I'll open it up to the chat. When you've got a lot of technology, like you said, I'm sure reps are after you all the time, but what was extremely or is extremely important to you when you are evaluating new technology for your practice? And how did radio frequency stand out?
Yeah, so there's several things for me when I'm evaluating like what I'm going to bring on. Number one is my relationship with the company. Am I actually gonna get the support that they say they're gonna get from me, right? I'm considered a small business. My husband and I own this business. And so I do need support and launching and events and education. And I've gotten that from Janeo, which I love. Number two is cost of the service, right? Am I having to pay for all of these add-ons and serums and perks and things upon that sort? I have to make a profit. I know what each of my treatment rooms is worth and what we have to make to pay the bills,
Yeah.
the overhead. Okay. Another thing for me, I'm an individual practice currently, but we're growing. We're a team of 11 or 12. When you start getting multiple providers in, I wanted to bring on a service that was the same no matter who was performing it.
Mm,
Okay. So I
consistency.
wanted to make sure that whether they saw Sasha or Jen or Cassie or Kayla, they were getting the same experience. That's very important to me. I feel like there's a lot of devices out there that are provider dependent, who's running it, how skilled they are. And one thing I love about the Glo2 is when you are properly trained, they can have the same experience throughout. So we do have protocols for in place for our different tiers. We have an essential, an elevate, and a luxe. So that includes what are they getting during each of those facials? What is the length of their steps, right? So our Pro is always 20 minutes, but we'll change the exfoliation, the ultrasound, and the lymphatic drainage. We might add some red light therapy. We might add décolleté. We might add hand massage, scalp massage. So that's been important for me too when choosing devices to add.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad you said that because it really is a big consideration. And I think something that's easy to perform but consistent is so crucial, not only because of outcomes, but because of the experience that you're building and how you're charging. And that's one thing I have always enjoyed, especially from the education side, because I'm usually the one training people how to use a device. It's so easy to learn. It's so easy to perform radio frequency. Even we have built-in sensors into every step of the treatment that will tell you when you're at temp, when you need to move to a different area, if pressure is, if you're making full
Yes.
contact with the ultrasound, like we really take the guesswork out of it. And I appreciate having a technology that supports me as a technician, but also flourishes my aesthetic artistry and allows for me to customize the treatment so that I can give that beautiful experience that I want to be known for. And it's kind of that perfect synergy between the two. But you've done such a great job incorporating it. I already see the chat blowing up. I'm sure people want to ask you lots of questions. So Emma, can I bring it to you to pull us some of the key questions that we want to bring for Kayla?
Yes, and I'll quickly let Sarah jump in real quick with some of her final thoughts.
Oh yeah, please do. Sorry, Sarah.
Well, first of all, Kayla, thank you so much. It's so remarkable to listen to you. You're a breath of fresh air. I love your mindset. It's very empowering and inspiring to everyone. So thank you. Yeah, I love the chat. I was trying to keep up with it. I don't know how Emma was like responding so promptly to everyone's questions. So if you did not get your answer to your question, I'm sure that she will be making sure they were all, I was kind of watching it to make sure everything was getting answered. But if she missed you, just ping us again and we'll make sure to get the answers to your questions. Really, the only thing I just want to say before we turn it over to Q&A is just that if you would like for your local area sales manager to reach out to you for more information, please let us know. If you want to drop your name and phone number in the chat, that would be super helpful. And that's really it. Unless anyone has any questions for me, I'm here as well for Q&A, but I think we'll turn it over to the group.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, we are getting a ton of questions about chemical peels. And so, Kayla, maybe you start and tell us, how do you create a series with chemical peels? What do you think when you compare that? And then, Savannah, if you have any insider tips too of just that combo therapy.
Yeah, so I currently do not do the Glo2Facial and a chemical peel the same day. I don't feel like that's necessary to have both of those treatments the same day. So they could do it as easily as 4 to 7 days before if you wanted to do it quickly to prep the skin. Generally, our patients are going to be coming in every 2 to 4 weeks for either a Glo2Facial with the RF Pro and then alternating with the chemical peel. So personally, we like to alternate so that, again, the skin is getting prepped with the exfoliation, they're having their treatment, and then they're coming back in after getting off the sloughing skin and seeing the results of that treatment. So I would say our practice is most of the time they're coming in every 3 to 4 weeks for one or the other, and we're alternating. So it's facial, chemical peel, facial, chemical peel, facial, chemical peel.
Yeah, that's great feedback. And one thing I'll say, because we did see so many questions for it, 2 benefits for our customers. One is, if you haven't already, please drop in the chat if you would like to chat with your practice development manager. That's your support system on the post side, and we will actually help you develop specific protocols and custom plans depending on what you have, because it's hard for us to say generally if you have a lot of different types of peels. There's so many different options, but we love to play bathroom chemist, myself included, and we actually have a layering guideline one-sheeter on our app that you can download, and it will tell you how to combine peels, masks, LED, laser, anything you can think of that you can pull from. But otherwise, drop in the chat if you want your PDM to follow up with you, and we'll connect with you individually afterwards so that we can answer very specific questions about peels without going down the rabbit hole on those protocols.
Thanks, Sav. The next question, Kayla, more for business. Julia was asking, how do you market this treatment? And we also heard, how do you market it with RF specifically when you added that into your Geneo?
Right. So we did have to do some model approach. So I did a model call. To me, I didn't actually post that on social media. I went internally to some of my VIP patients. I picked a couple from each different age groups, 30s, 40s, 50s. I allowed them to have a discounted RF service so I could get some before and afters. So sometimes we have to do that as a provider to build up a portfolio. So you guys have seen a lot of my before and afters. So do not be afraid to do a model call. That does not mean that they get something for free. They may get it for a discount, but you still want to make sure you're covering your cost of the service, the provider performing it, things upon that sort. But really do a model call to kind of build up your portfolio, and then launch events. I know I've talked about those a lot, but consultations during your launch event, have your rep there to support you, maybe doing demo treatments, such as that's what I did, food, drink. We made it really fun, guys. We had a bubble machine outside. We had everything pink and blue. I had letters that said GLO, like the big alpha light letters. We all wore pink and purple, and we made it really, really fun. So events are important sometimes when you're launching something new. And then again, memberships. This device is made to be patients receiving it monthly. So consider adding that into your monthly membership.
That's great. I'm glad you talked about events. I didn't even ask you to prompt that, but we just launched a new event guide for our current providers, which goes through those timelines, gives those some ideas that Kayla was talking about. So that's a great resource for anybody who is a current provider. I will pass it over for one last question, was just more so we're getting a lot of questions about the treatment timing and how do you create a series. You talked a little bit about how you did that with your consultative approach and asking people, but maybe talk to us your ideal client and how you set them up on a skincare journey.
Yeah, so my ideal client, I have one that comes to mind because I had a new consultation this week. She's struggling with some acne. So I got her started on a new regimen. We all know sometimes when we get started on new products, our skin can have a purging somewhere between that 3 to 6 weeks. So I said, I'm going to start you on a regimen. You're coming back in 3 weeks for a Glo2, and then you're coming back 3 weeks again, because we generally see that transition around 6 to 8 weeks. So I automatically got her scheduled for 2 appointments with Glo2 prior to her seeing me again for her injectables. So I mean, if patients wanted to be in here every week getting this treatment, they could, which we did with our RF Pro pilot and launching it and getting those before and afters. We wanted to do that quickly. But we also have to remember with the RF Pro, we're stimulating collagen. So sometimes it's going to take that 4 to 6 week mark to see that growth of those fibroblasts and that change in structure and support. So timing wise, I would just say, if you're erring on the side of caution, bring them in sooner. Don't wait the 6 weeks, bring them in at that 3 to 4 week mark. So I would say always erring on the side of bringing them in sooner rather than having their treatments get too far out.
I think that's so important because it's like you said, we want to capitalize on the skin when it's in its growth phase. And the last piece of advice that I will leave this group, because I see lots of you asking about combo therapy in the chat, is I always like to mention that Glo2Facial is for the thinking esthetician. So if you're looking for like, this is the protocol, this is the box, this is what you have to stay inside of, it's probably not going to be a treatment that you love, because like I said, this enhances your aesthetic creativity, your aesthetic artistry. Kayla is a pioneer and she loves to play around with things. And I want to encourage all of you, don't be afraid to play around with it. If you have an instinct that you think is probably going to be helpful based on what you know the modality does, go for it. Play around with it a little bit, because there's no way we can test every single combination and protocol and therapy out there. But we want to give you the tools to think of this more like a tool rather than just a treatment. Glo2Facial is a treatment. It develops skin health, but it's a tool for you to develop and play with. And the other thing I'll encourage you to think about is, whenever I'm asking myself, what should I combine? Or should I, like, maybe I'm just going to add ultrasound to my normal facial and not even the rest of the Glo2, or I'm just going to start doing exfoliation right before injectables or something, right? Just with stamping to get the skin oxygen ready and oxygen rich. What is the outcome you're looking for? And if you truly understand the purpose of each step and the goal that the client has, just like Kayla said, you can develop a protocol that you know is suited for them because you know the outcome that each component provides. And I think that's what truly sets Glo2Facial apart for me and makes it something that you can integrate into your practice in any way, shape, or form for any type of clientele for any amount of time. Everyone can benefit from this treatment. Kayla, Sarah, anything else that you would like to leave our group with before we close today?
No, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Is this device is for the thinker. I can't tell you that every single time I see acne, I'm doing like the refine or the smooth pod. Like I may be doing a protect for their skin barrier first, reassessing every time that they come in and determining what's right for them. But if you guys want to message me on Instagram too, it's Hale, Hale, the beauty queen. I'm happy to share some of our reels from our events and other ways that we market it. The bubbles, man, the bubbles are just so gratifying when you are able to capture that on video with social media. But thank you guys so much for allowing me to be here today and just helping you grow your business and your education with Glo2.
Thank you so much, Kayla. All hail the beauty queen. We're so grateful that you joined us today. Thank you for everyone else for jumping on. I will stay on the webinar for just a couple minutes for those of you that want to drop final details in the chat, because I see that still coming through, so I'll leave it up. But otherwise, we are wrapped for today. I'll dismiss you all back to your businesses to go make amazing outcomes, deliver skin confidence to all your patients. Thank you so much for being a part of Glo2Facial and our webinar today, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.